Ready? Okay. Ready. Good morning. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Before I get started, let me read through our role as a board and kind of how we'll handle the format of the meeting today. And don't be bashful. If there's any questions, just please direct those to me if you would. We are the 2025 Board of Equalization and Review for Union County, and we have been appointed by the county commissioners to hear any and all taxpayers with respect, concerns, complaints regarding the evaluation of their property for tax purposes. Property owners appearing before the Board of Equalization and Review have the right to a fair and equitable hearing. The Board of Equalization and Review has been charged with ensuring that the proper legal principles have been applied in evaluation dispute for tax purposes. So when we get started, the clerk to my right will call the case, and before you start, you'll come up front to the mic, and the county will locate the property on the monitor so we're all looking at the property together, okay? You should have a copy of all the information that we have. Once the county locates the property on the map, you'll just present your information to the board. Keep in mind, opinions are nice, but we need just factual data and evidence, to make a decision. So once you present your information to the board, each member will have a chance to ask you a question or two. Following that, you'll have a seat. The county will do the same. They will present their information. Members of the board will have an opportunity to ask questions. At our last meeting, if you please could, and I know it's tough sometimes when the county is presenting their information, let them present, because I will circle back to you for any final questions, and I'll do the same for the county. So if there are any questions, please direct those to me. After we hear all the taxpayers on the agenda today, we will then go into the deliberation phase of the hearing. You're welcome to stay for that if you like. Following that, the county will inform you normally within 30 days of our decision. By statute, the burden of proof is on the taxpayer to demonstrate the assessment is erroneous. Please make sure if you're presenting sales data today that all that data needs to be as of 1/1/2025 or before. It cannot be after 1/1/25 since the effective date of this reevaluation is 1/1/25. Only individual taxpayers or licensed residential or certified appraisers licensed to do business in North Carolina may express an opinion of value of real property. No other persons, whether attorneys in fact, attorneys at law, or corporate representatives, are entitled to express an opinion of value of real property. If you could, make sure we have all of our cell phones silenced. I'm probably the worst culprit. So with that, do we have any questions from anybody? Yes.
Can we make sure that we share with the public to be exhaustive in their presentation, give it all out?
Yeah. And if you would, we get all your information together and out, and then we'll try to hold these to about 15 minutes as we go, okay? Okay, y'all ready to go? Madam Clerk?
Good morning. The first hearing is not here yet, so we're going to actually, for number 1, 2, and 3, we're going to skip to number 4
Okay.
to start out because they are here today. This is going to be for Campbell John M. Co., and the first property number is 09228219.
Good morning, Board.
Good
My name
morning.
is LaTasha Wiggins. I'm a real property appraiser for
Yeah.
Union County.
Okay. Are you going to locate the property?
Yes.
Okay.
The property is located, it's 410 Miller Street. It's 2 blocks away from Skyview Drive off of Winchester. And it's parcel 09228-219,
Okay,
marked in blue.
I got you. Thank you. Okay. Miles, that's you?
He does.
How you doing?
Good. How you getting on?
This is a commercial property located in a residential area. The sales that we sent were dated before 1/1/25, so I don't know if that would count.
Yeah, we would want those
Yeah,
prior
that-
to 1/1/25,
And
not after.
we didn't have anything that was comparable that we could have sent. We would like to stress that the only value of that lot is just the land. There are a couple of outbuildings that
It's just storage, that's all it is.
sheds more. There is a
Just water.
fence.
Yeah,
but
water
it's-
and power, that's all it's,
Yeah, so we would like to just say that is just the land. We'd like to have that valued at just the land property.
It looks like just some storage sheds on it.
yeah.
Okay.
Construction material that goes in and out, so yes, that's about
Okay.
it.
Any other information on that one? Okay.
No, we don't
'Cause
have
we'll take them
anything.
one at a time, okay?
Okay.
So, let me see if members of the board have any questions. Bob, do you have any questions? Jimmy?
I have one, but I'll save it for the council.
Okay. Mark?
Is it a rental property?
No, it's just we're a commercial contractor and we use it
So
for
you use
storage
it for storage for your business?
strictly,
Is
yes.
that what it's for?
Yeah, we'll park equipment there, move in and out, and construction materials, once they come off a job, they come in and out, go back to the
Okay,
job.
So you use it as a storage thing
Yes,
for your business?
yes.
And it has lights and power?
It does have power and water. That's the only services on
So
the
it has a
property.
bathroom? commode?
No sewer.
Thank you, sir.
So, is your opinion of value of the 32,000 that's stated in here? I see something with,
I don't know.
well,
where-
no,
I don't know where the 32
I don't know,
came
no,
from.
no.
That was the first.
That might be estimated. What's your opinion of the value on it?
24.5,
24.5? Okay.
I think that,
Can I ask him another
or
question?
Yes.
she's got another number, I'm
What
sorry.
was the value of it before the revaluation, last year's valuation?
24.5.
That's a good one. Thank you.
I think they have the land valued at 26,000, and that's what we were asking.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think you currently have the land valued at 26,000,
Okay,
and that's what we were,
okay, so
Asking.
26,000 is, okay. All right, if you don't mind, let us hear
Okay.
from the county.
Good morning again.
morning.
Latasha Wiggins for the county.
Okay,
So, again, this property is located off of Skyway Drive off of Winchester. It was initially a commercial property, but doing the appraisal, we found out that it was a zone residential, so we changed it to residential. There's no livable.
you changed it to,
It was commercial, but we found out during the appeal process that it was zone residential.
okay,
So we changed everything to residential. There's no livable structure on the property. There's only 2 storage buildings and a pole building on the property. If you turn to page 23, we have a list of sales there. And you can see that it's pretty much, the highlighted one is the subject. And you can see it's pretty much, the acreage is about the same on the sales, and we have it pretty equitable for that neighborhood. The lots are of similar size of the subject. And it falls below, like if you do the average of the sales, it falls below the medium sale. And on page 24 through 28, I printed out the parcels for the subject and a parcel that's neighboring the subject, which is parcel 09228-217. And I use that as a comp, as a familiarity, because it has the same size and shape of the subject. And if you look at, if you look at the land equity, they're pretty much the same.
Okay.
So I feel that the county, we're pretty much equitable with this property. We only have 1,800 on the structures. And again, there's 2 storage buildings and a pole building. So with this information, the county's position is no change in value of the 40,600. The land, we have the land value at 38,800, and the buildings a total of 1,800.
Okay. Let me find out if board members have any questions. Mark, do you have any questions for the county?
Yes, sir.
Bob?
Quick question. When it moved from commercial to residential, what's the math on that for the land value? There's no change. As I understood it, it was assessed at 24.5.
Yes, for,
As commercial, and then it went to 38.8.
yeah, it should be higher, but of all fairness for the taxpayer, we overrode the building structures. I guess the normal building structures would have been 9,380, but we overrode it to 1,800 because it had the initial,
38.8.
yes,
And that was based on your comps from what you?
yes.
Okay, so they were all residential too,
Yes, the comps,
that you showed?
yes.
Okay.
Jimmy?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The very existence of from what I'm gathering from the citizens they're wanting it just to almost be valued at land. But the very existence of those buildings constitutes property. So it would almost be as if we would be disregarding, if we were to rule for the property owners, we would almost be disregarding the property that sits on the land and just judging the land. Is that my understanding of what they're trying to do?
Well, it could get into the highest and best use of the property. I mean, really, the structures could have no,
And the structure only has $1,800 value on it, so
Yeah.
really it's basically the land value of the property.
yeah.
You know what I mean, the county's looking at it.
And they use it, I mean,
The buildings
It's there.
is there.
Mhm.
So that automatically, to the county's perspective, constitutes property on the land.
yes,
So therefore, they're not going to disregard that existing property on that land and just judge as if it don't exist and just judge
Right.
land because what the citizens believe is property that's not really being used anymore.
Right, right. Okay. Everybody good?
Good.
Thank you.
okay.
Miles, any further questions on this one? Okay.
I do not.
All right. With that, we'll move to the next one.
All right, hearing number 5 is also for Campbell John M. Co. The parcel number is 09229-019, A as an apple.
All right, this is an office building that is located, it fronts on Skyway Drive, but it's not accessed from Skyway Drive. It's Skyway at Winchester. You have to drive onto Winchester to access this property.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. No.
Good morning again.
Good morning again. Okay.
This building is 37 years old. We calculated what we thought was a fair price based on, we're general contractors and we build, so we originally used what we could build the building for, $105 a square foot, and we were told that was not acceptable. Oh, I'm sorry. So we used the 2025 National Building Cost Manual with the modification for our Charlotte area. And we used the IRS depreciation method to come up with the value that we thought was fair. It was hard for us to use the Marshall and Swift because we didn't know where that information came from. I was sent a table, but I don't know where they got their percentage for depreciation. I don't know how to calculate that. So we thought the fair value for that property is $96,457.05 based on what you should have.
Okay. Any additional information? on
No,
y'all?
we've never been offered any money for that property. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of it has to do with the dilapidated structure that's been there that should have been tore down 50 years ago. And it's still there. And beyond me how something like that just goes
Right.
blind eye. So, and it is an eyesore to the town, no doubt. I think everybody would agree to that. So was that played into the reevaluation of the property in any way?
Okay. Let me see if members of the board have questions. Mark, do you have any questions?
Yeah, is it commercial property? Is it being rented out, or?
No, we occupy that particular building, yes. Unless
Okay,
you're
so
talking about,
nothing- no
unless
one's
you're
in
talking
it.
about the dilapidated structure, it's abandoned, in my opinion. It's been abandoned for 50 years.
Okay.
It is an office building. We
But
use
you
it.
called it an office building, but no offices are in it.
No, yeah, it was our office.
Oh, it's your office?
Yes,
Do y'all
yes.
use it?
We
Yes.
Oh, so
yes.
you're
John and
doing
Campbell's
business out
company.
of
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't understand. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Bob?
I've got no question.
Jim?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
I'm trying to remember, and the county can clarify this too, flooding issues down there?
Back when everything flooded out down there, it did back up because there's a storm structure that we had to put in, goes across between another parcel we own, which is above this. And it drains into Tonawanda underground to the creek, and it has backed up. We've got a sand filter there, and it has backed up in to the above the forebay of that sand filter. So we haven't had it flooded. It's never gotten that high
Right,
to
okay.
get you into the structures, no.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can
Yes.
the county to zoom that picture out so we can see where the land is, or is it part of this that's on the screen?
I think it's kind of hidden in
I
the trees there.
can't-
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out, what he's talking about. Okay, zoom in one more time, just one more time. Whoa, okay. And pull the thing down a little bit for me, all right? Now, you own the parcel above that, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the parcel above it and to the left of
6-2
it.
is the last two digits for that one?
I believe
Yes,
so.
yes.
Yes,
Okay, and that has a building on it too?
yes.
But you said that's where it floods from?
No, you see about where the property line is, there's a storm drain pipe that's piped underground all the way to basically Skyway. It goes up under Skyway.
Okay.
And, you know, I'll add that it's been leaching some red water, and you guys, I'm sure you know where that red water's coming from, out of that old dilapidated property. And it goes into the creek, but the stormwater people are more than aware of it.
Just move this over so
That really
they can
helps
kind of
out.
see, right there.
But no, that's, yeah, that's
That
where the
right there
storm's
would be
at.
the
And there's an eatement on
There it is,
that line.
yeah.
It basically almost
okay.
the property line between the two parcels.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's almost where that storm structure, underground storm
Right.
system's at.
Yeah.
And it goes across Winchester. That's where it all comes from.
Okay.
Okay.
That just helps.
Jimmy, Bob, any additional questions for taxpayer?
Not at this
Okay.
time.
All right, if you don't mind, let us hear from the county on this one as well.
See if we can get a little bit better picture. That's a little bit better. A little bit better picture of the office itself.
Right.
Currently being used as an office. And I can apply to see if there's any flooding or flood zone.
Yeah.
If it's any flooding or flood zone, it should show up. So
Gotcha.
the flood zone's across the road over in the park.
Okay.
But, so we don't really, you
I just
know-
knew all that was low laying land there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, what we use, of course, is Marshall and Swift is the gold standard for valuation, you know, set by banks and other lending institutions and generally accepted. The evidence that we were given was IRS code and depreciation tables, business personal property depreciation tables, and Craftsman service, which is basically a kind of a cut rate version of Marshall and Swift, is a little more affordable. The depreciation tables that Marshall and Swift develops, I'm not privy to how they do it, but they have a lot of experts that have been doing this for 90 years that know how to develop depreciation. This is what we use for all commercial properties and industrial properties throughout the county. This is our methodology, and we don't feel like we need to deviate from that. They're receiving a 58% depreciation on the building so it's basically saying it's 35 years without anything done to the property. So we feel that it's fair. We don't really have a basis or any proof that would prove that our depreciation is not accurate. It comes from a service that we pay a lot of money for. And so that, how they get it, I honestly don't know how they, other than some version of an age life method, would be something that, they have some depreciation tables in the back of the book, but how this particular is done is based on the quality, is based on probably the size and the attributes of the building would be how they would come up with that.
Or would it be maybe the depreciation schedule on personal property being a lot more accelerated
Yes,
than real
because
property? Yeah.
business, personal property, the age, a typical age of a business item would be a lot less than the age
Then-
of sticks and bricks.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right, Joe.
Okay.
And let me see if members of the board have any questions. Bob? Any questions for the county?
No questions right now.
Jimmy?
On the, as you were laying out the depreciation piece, I was trying to grasp, you said that you wish you had a better way of ascertaining.
No, I didn't say I wish for a better way. I just said that I don't know how they calculate it. What we have is what we feel is the best way of, if we're going to run on a cost approach, we have the best that's available.
Okay. Bart?
Joe, what's the value of the land the county has on it? I'm trying to look through all these pages, I can't find anything.
It's 37.9, Judge.
37.9?
And for that parcel alone,
Yes.
and then the building's value is what? 360?
It's page 155, Mark.
Okay, I'm on
Mr.
158. I kinda
Mr.
jumped the
Ashcraft.
gun. Okay,
You may have to use a magnifying glass. It's, if you'll look in the far right column,
yep,
is 37.9 for the land,
see it?
209.8 for the structure, 247.7 for the entire parcel,
Got it.
the whole package, which is not a great deal of increase from the previous reval, which was a value, which was 219.3 for the total.
Okay. That was information I was trying to gather, and I do see it on this page now. All right, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Mr. Campbell, Miles, any additional questions on this particular tab?
I do not.
Okay. And thank you. Okay. Step back up to the mic if you would.
The depreciation that we used was the IRS publication 947, I think, and it's for non-tangible real property. That's what we used to calculate the depreciation that we show,
Okay.
okay?
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, and the increase is 11% from last year, and that, to me, is a lot.
Right. Okay. Now we move to the next one. Madam Clerk?
All right, we will move on to hearing number 6. This is also for Campbell John Emco, parcel number 09229-019C, as in cat.
Okay.
All right, this adjoins the other property. It's a multi-tenant office building
All right.
Okay.
on Winchester.
Y'all are popular this morning, aren't you? All right.
This is a 4-unit office building. We rent all 4 units. It has, the increase this year would be a 21% increase, which we think is fairly substantial. Oh. It is a 15-year-old building. We used the same methods that we used for 102, the National Building Cost Manual modification, that was 15.9% over what the original cost was. We have the original cost for the building because we built it. And then we used the same depreciation method through the IRS, non-tangible real property. And so we think the property value should be, when you take everything together, $491,592.90. That's what we have for calculations.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Ashcraft?
So you're saying that over the last 4 years, it's, the county increased the value by 21%? Is that correct, from what you?
No, sir, from 2024 to 2025.
Yeah, that,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
In 2020, it was 456.9,
Right.
and it increased 12% to 2021
Okay.
to 516.3.
Okay. And you're basically, y'all built the building, correct? Is that what you said?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I don't have any questions.
Jimmy? Mr. Minchin? Bob?
Not right now. Thank you.
I've got a few. I mean, you mentioned this is income producing property. This is rental
It
property.
is
So you got
income
you got 4
producing.
units in it?
4 units, yes,
Okay.
sir.
And,
Sublet type.
okay. So all occupied or
Yes.
not? Okay.
Currently.
And did you furnish income information to the county on the building when y'all were discussing?
No,
Okay.
we did not.
Okay. And I'm just curious on that between the cost approach on the property versus
Okay.
maybe an income approach on the property.
No, that was never requested or asked, and we
Oh.
did not provide that, no.
Okay, okay. All right. Let me go to the county side and okay, and I'll circle back.
So
Oh,
one quick question. What do they feel that the taxpayers' opinion of value is $377,132? I thought.
That's-
their opinion of
That's
value.
what we're looking at. What we're looking at as far as your opinion of value is 377,132.
That was when I used the original depreciation
So
method.
that- no, that-
I'm
no
sorry,
longer-
that is, the
no
new
longer-
number was 491,
Yep.
592.90. That is the IRS publication 946. I sent a copy, I'm sorry.
Where did 377 come from?
That, when I used
That was the original.
the
using your
original
methodology.
depreciation method that the county said I can't use.
Y'all could step back to the mic, too.
Oh.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. My husband tells me I don't need a mic, so.
Okay.
um,
Nah, I'm not going to go there.
So Mark Swift is coming to it one way, and you're using another tool to come to it your way.
That's correct. I'm using the IRS method, yes.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Joe, can I say something real quick? Just to address one thing that the appellant mentioned, that was an increase from 2024. That was actually an increase from 2021. That was 4 years of appreciation of value
Right.
in that property, not 1 year.
Not
I just
1
want to
year.
clarify that, make sure they were aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, like we said, it's a multi-tenant office building. It's got 5,584 square feet, built in 2010. The argument today, what we were talking about was the cost method that we're using. We didn't involve income because income ultimately would raise the value. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're running on income, it's going to be worth more than what the cost approach is.
Okay,
There are some cases it would not. But for a typical office, you're generally going to have a higher, so we didn't get into that realm. It's the same argument. IRS depreciation and real estate appraisal depreciation is 2 different worlds. They don't collide. We don't use IRS tables. They developed that on their own for their taxation purposes, and how they're driven and everything is a totally different animal than what we're dealing with today. The number that they're asking for, we haven't had a value that low on it. As far back as I can see on the property record card, the lowest value we've had was back in 2018. It was $456,900. And then for the 2021 revaluation, it went to $516,300. And then for this one, we're at $650,000. We feel we're on the money with this from a cost standpoint. It's on as an average construction office, Marshall & Swift, for the height of the building, the type of construction. We just don't see anywhere we can go with it. We haven't received any kind of evidence to the contrary that we could really sink our teeth into to make any kind of reduction. There's no physical aspect about the property that limits it. Fully occupied, functional office building. I don't have anything from a standpoint to, justify a reduction on it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hunter.
If I can say one thing real quick, I think the big discrepancy is I believe the taxpayers taking their costs, construction costs back in 2010, that's 15 years, and then depreciating that.
Right. Okay, understood. Questions for the county, Mr. O'Keefe? Any?
No questions.
Mr. Benson?
Not so much a question, but I want to you, Mr. Joe, I want to apologize because I think when I tried to talk about depreciation on that first go-round, your explanation that you just did on the appreciation really was what I was trying to get
Sure,
to.
sure.
And so thank you for doing that side-by-side comparison,
Right.
because what I wanted to ask was, did the county feel as though that they're utilizing a depreciation method that doesn't match what the county uses? So your
Correct.
explanation of that
Mhm.
really
Good.
helped me.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Ashcraft?
Hey, Joe, that property next to it, it looks like an office building. Did you come up with Marshall and Swift using the cost approach on that one? Like,
Yes, they also own that one.
so in other words, oh, they do. Oh, so in other words, then all these properties in this area, right?
Mm-hmm.
You use the Marshall and Swift.
All done the same way.
Okay, and so in 21, you said when the last reevaluation was, it was like 500 and something, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Was there appeal done? Did they?
Not to my recollection. They might be able to speak to that, but I don't have a memory of it.
I didn't know if it was.
Yeah, as far as I know,
certainly
no.
don't remember it, but
I don't either.
All right.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hunter.
All right.
Okay. Miles, any additional questions on, that you have of the board on that one? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. With that, we'll move along to the next tab, Madam Clerk.
The next hearing is hearing number 7. The taxpayer's name is Quick Trip Corporation, being represented by Josh Anderson.
This is just a big book.
I have to take some of mine out.
And Ryan Lundiff. The first property key number we'll discuss is 09174012.
All right, this is a vacant piece of land owned by a QT. It's slightly north of the Monroe Expressway, fronts on Concord Highway, and it's not too far from Ridge Road and the new development they're constructing on 09-213-008.
Yeah, so going up 601 north would be on the right, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All righty.
Good morning, Board. My name is
Good
Ryan
morning.
Cundiff. I work with Invoke Tax Partners. We have a power of attorney to represent Quick Trip. First off, thank you for allowing the taxpayer to voice their concerns to you today. And as Joe mentioned, this is a piece of vacant land that Quick Trip bought in 2023. They bought it for our requested value of $175,000. That's what we were requesting today. And the highlighted parcel is actually not the parcel that we're speaking with today. It is in between. Okay.
Excuse me, page 8 in your book.
Page
8
Yeah.
8,
will be a map of the
tab
property.
7.
There we go. So the highlighted parcel that you see now on your screen is the parcel that we're speaking of today. And again, it sold in 2023 for $175,000. And that is our requested value, and that's what we relied upon to develop our requested value. The only issues that we have for it is that this property is sort of landlocked. It does have a slight frontage there on Concord Highway, but the parcel to the left of it, which was originally highlighted, ending in 12A, is the Department of Transportation. So they would have to get an easement in order to sort of build any sort of road through there. They'd have to go directly to the parcel to the north, which is 12B, which is what Quick Trip also owns. But if you were to sell this land individually, we feel like that the $175,000 would be a fair assessment and a fair market value for this parcel, since it just transacted in 2023 for that amount.
Okay. Let me see if we have any questions from the board. Mr. Benson? Okay. Mr. O'Keefe? Okay. Mr. Ashcraft?
So y'all purchased it for 23,
Correct.
and I see you have other parcels that you're going to appeal. those are all close by. I think it is, I think. Well,
Yes, yes, so the parcels that Quick Trip owns is parcel 12.
Send that out for me so I can see it on the map, please. I just want to see what we're going to deal with all three anyway, so.
No, we are not. We've only appealed the parcel 12. We did not appeal parcel 12B or 6L, which Quick Trip also owns. We did not dispute those land values.
Oh, okay. I don't have any problems. No more questions.
Okay. If you don't mind, we'll hear from the county.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. The reason those parcels are not being appealed is because they were purchased for a lot more than $175,000. QT, this was an assemblage. Our subject is part of an assemblage. They bought it from what looks like, I don't know if it was an estate, but it was several owners when they purchased it. But the other two parcels, let's see if I can get this right on this one. 12B, they purchased also in '23, and that sale amount was $450,000. Of course, it's, on a corner, but it adjoins this one. They also purchased this parcel, 6L. They paid $510,000 for that parcel. Now, that doesn't have frontage at all on 601. So what we're looking at is, I don't think that the people that sold them this property for $175,000, I don't think they were knowledgeable about the market or what QT pays for land. What we have is those two properties are appraised at the frontage. The one with the frontage, we got currently appraised at $539,975 an acre. So we're certainly not going to put this parcel at $175,000, and that's why we're here, because we develop land rates based on the sales, and that one was extremely low compared to the other properties that they bought. And we have them, we're at $270,000 an acre is what we currently have it appraised for. So this at $500,000 an acre, this at $270,000. So we felt like that was fair, regardless of what they paid for it. We've had two other sales that have occurred that will also pull this in. This was just a steal, basically, is the way we look at it. A steal, basically, I'm not saying they stole anything, but it's just considered, just for slang term, they bought it below market.
Because it was landlocked, couldn't have access to anything.
It's somewhat, but it can't be landlocked if you own the adjoining pieces. But at the time,
Very good point.
it was probably, I don't know if the right-of-way had been taken at the time they bought it in '23. Just not sure of that. That may have changed as well. But why does QT want to be here? Because in your packet, on page 47,
On this.
in your packet, yeah. The county's actual packet that was provided. On page 47, right across the road, they're under construction right now of something called the Ridge at 601. And that consists of 215 townhomes, 307 apartment units, proposed grocery store, and possibly even a motel that is under construction at the moment and underway. So that's why that makes this corner here pretty desirable place, because this area is really growing. So we felt like $175,000 was not a fair price, and we feel like that we are justified, based on the other two sales, we're justified on our value.
And it says here that it was approved by the city council in '21.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was knowledge. They just didn't start construction of it, I think, until maybe last year. That's Boggs was developing that.
Okay, any additional questions for the county? Okay. Go ahead.
What is the value per acre right now on, what are they valuing? I'm trying to find your book.
It's on page 44. There's a grid that shows the subject, has the sale amount, the dollar per acre at the time of sale, and what we have it appraised at, and it has the two sales that are right beside it and what they're, so we're roughly not quite half of what the other two parcels are appraised at.
That's exactly what I needed, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hunter. Is it Mr. Anderson? You have any additional questions on this one? Do I have your name right? Is it Anderson?
My name is Ryan Cundiff, sorry.
Ryan
Cundiff.
Cundiff?
That's
okay.
correct. And the only, comment I have last is that this partial, individual parcel is landlocked. If we were to only sell this individual parcel, I think it would sell, closer to that 175 than closer to what the county currently has on it. That's the only comment that I would make.
Okay.
Is that it would be, you'd have to have an easement in order to get through someone else's property. Yes, it's not currently technically landlocked because the owners have to the north, but if they were to only look at this individual parcel when selling, it would sell as a landlocked parcel.
Understood.
All right, thank you, Board.
All right. Madam Clerk, next tab.
All right. The next hearing is hearing number 8. This is for Taxpayer Community Bank of Raymore et al. The parcel number is 09189019A as an apple. Also being represented by Josh Anderson and Ryan Cundiff.
All right, this is an actual QT convenience market. It's located at the corner of Morgan Mill and Highway 74.
I think we know where that is located.
Again, thank you, Board, for allowing the taxpayer to voice their concerns. This is, as Joe mentioned, a quick trip on Highway 74. This property was constructed in 2012. We used a Marshall and Swift valuation model for a cost approach to value this property, and I'm just going to run through that a little bit. So again, we classified it as a convenience store and also added some value for the service stations and pumps that were put in the ground. We, right at 5,440 square feet, we applied a base cost rate of $156 per square foot, then added in the heating, cooling, and ventilation of $11.80. Added in the sprinkler system worth $6.50 to get a base of $174 per square foot for cost. We then applied a current cost multiplier that Marshall and Swift imposes on costs because these costs are actually as of May of 2024. So we brought those costs up to date as of January 1st, 2025. It's basically a 3% increase. And then we utilized a local cost multiplier, which localizes the cost to this area, to this region of the section. We used Charlotte. That was the closest market area to utilize it. To get a final square foot cost of basically $173 per square foot. We use a 2% depreciation a year on top of the it's a 13-year-old building. We use 2% of depreciation a year to get our depreciation. That gives a replacement cost new of roughly $700,000 for the convenience store itself. And then we added value for the pumps in the service station of roughly $26,000 per pump. And there's 10 pumps, and we depreciated that also, so that added a replacement cost new of right at $334,000. So overall, our replacement cost new less depreciation is right at $1 million. We added the land value. We added the land value, which is, I'm sorry, I am on the next parcel in.
I was thinking, I was trying to
I'm
follow
on the
those
next
numbers.
one.
Okay.
This is on that flip.
I agree, Mr.
I kept thinking I was looking at county information versus yours.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. I utilize the same metrics for both properties.
Yeah.
Except this one's built in 2014. The one that we're talking about is built in 2014, and we utilize the same metrics as I just discussed. Added the county land value. We came up with $1.2 million for replacement cost new less depreciation because that's a little bit bigger. It's almost 6,000 square feet. and then added the county land value. So right at a requested value of 2.8 million. And everything after that little sheet I have on page 1 is just the actual Marshall and Swift model, and I highlighted the important numbers, which show our base cost, our heating and cooling, our sprinklers, and then also the pumps and the local cost multipliers. I will say is that I think we might have a fundamental difference with the county on how to value this gas station. We were given documentation of sales for this gas station as a proof of value. We feel that sales are just not reliable when valuing gas stations because the sales are valuing the business model of the gas station rather than the real estate itself. I mean, if you have two gas stations side by side, one is generating receipts of $1 million, one is generating receipts of 1.5 million. Obviously, the 1.5 million is going to command a higher price. So we just don't feel like the sales comparison approach is appropriate for gas stations. And that's what we were given. Maybe Joe did do a cost approach, but we were not given, I don't think we were given documentation of a cost approach.
Let me make sure we're following the same math and numbers here, because when I'm looking at page 11 under tab 8, I don't see some of those numbers you were covering. I'm still not following.
Okay.
Y'all with me? Y'all's different than mine?
Okay. So what I utilize a square footage that the county has of 5,332 square feet. I applied a base rate of $156 a square foot to develop an estimated cost new, like if they were to build that building brand new. And then also added in for the heating and cooling and ventilation and sprinklers, because you can't have a building without heating, cooling, ventilation, and without sprinklers, of $11.80 for the HVAC and $6.50 for the sprinklers.
Page 12 is where he's, okay. That clarified it. I was just trying to follow, and I was on the wrong page.
Okay, my apologies, yeah.
No, my fault. Should have stopped you sooner, but I follow the method.
Yeah, and we have revised it a little bit after talking with Joe. Originally, when we submitted our appeal, we had an average build. We improved that to a good quality build, so that increased our base cost from $125 a square foot to $156 a square foot for our base, and also changed the sprinklers a little bit from like $4.96 to $6.50. So we originally submitted with an average build, but after talking with Joe, we have increased that quality to a good build, which increased the base cost.
So your opinion for value now on this property is?
Is $2,813,000.
$2 million. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Sure.
So questions from the board for Mr. Cundiff, Mr. O'Keefe?
We're here, right?
Yeah, we're on tab 8, hearing number 8. Yeah.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Benjamin? Okay. Mr. Ashcraft?
No, sir.
Okay. Let us hear from the county now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, what we basically have is a tale of two cost approaches. We threw in some sales just as backup justification for our value, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about a difference in how the cost approach is derived. The main glaring difference between these two cost approaches is that one is a good quality convenience store, which is what the appellant is pricing. We're pricing it as an excellent quality convenience store. And of course, the appellant, has the highlighted areas that describe in Marshall and Swift, but what we're looking at on this property is, if you look at that roof line there, that's a little bit better than good quality. It's got angles, the angles on each end of the store. You've got, let's see if I can get, actually there's probably a picture, better pictures of it in the report. Let's see if I can find the page. should be one. I don't see it. Let's go from a different standpoint here. Yeah. Here we go. There. That's a little bit better picture. I don't see it in the report. It's supposed to be, but I didn't locate it. But that's our primary source of difference that we have in this. You know, this 5,930 square foot. It's a convenience market. Another thing that drives the quality is the finish, the interior finish and the exterior finish of it are superior to a good quality convenience store. This is one of your best quality convenience stores around. Serves food, has a, food service also located, as you indicated, by the rooftop units. You'll see that's for that setup. So we feel like that's our difference, that we couldn't meet anywhere on that, because this has been listed as an excellent property since it was constructed in 2014, and we've never had any debate on that. That's never come up. It's never been questioned, or we've never had an issue with that, my recollection. It's got 58,000 square feet of heavy-duty concrete on this property. It's very thick. I watched it get poured in. We've also got a 7,700 square foot, high cost, very expensive canopy on this property. It's, rated for storms, and it's extremely expensive to construct. So we feel like we really there was not any justification to change this from a excellent quality to a good quality.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Let me see here, questions for Mr. Hunter? Mr. Ashcraft?
No, sir.
Mr. Benjamin? Mr. O'Keefe?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Cundiff, any final comments from you on this particular property on Morgan Mill Road?
Yes, the only comment I would have is I think this is a good quality, because the Marshall and Swift, defines what a good quality and what an excellent quality is. On this packet here that was provided to you, that has this Invoke Tax Partners right here.
Right.
On this, if you go to page 2, it says good quality for this class of construction is brick, best to block, stucco, good storefront and ornamentation. And I think this is picture perfect of exactly what a good quality is. Excellent is individual design, highly ornamental exterior. I don't think that this is highly ornamental in my opinion. I think this is just like, a pilot, just like a racetrack, but it's not a Buc-ee's. It's not, one of those special mega gas stations that have highly ornamental everything. So I think this would just be perfect, good quality in my opinion.
Okay.
right.
Understood.
All right, thank you, Board.
You may want to stay there, correct? I think if we move along to tab hearing number 9.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hearing number 9 is next. This is also for the taxpayer Quick Trip Corporation. The parcel identification number is N7069036, also being represented by Ryan Cundiff.
All right, we have another Quick Trip. This one also located on 74 and Indian Trail at corner of Sardis Church Road. Interesting fact on this one is that it's a fire split, so we have two parcels, an N7069036, which is being appealed, and there is a K07699036, which the appellant is not appealing. They're okay with the value, because when we split it, the building and the canopy are on the N parcel that's being appealed. The only thing that we have on the K parcel is just land and some paving. So that's why you're going to see a split down not quite the middle of the property. We have to locate it on one. We can't cut the building in half and put one on one side, one on the other. So it's all carried. The majority of this is carried except for the paving. The building and the canopy are carried on N7069036 is what we're talking about today.
Okay, understood. Thank you, Joe. Okay, Mr. Cundiff?
Exactly what Joe said, and this is what I was getting at, previously. I did everything the exact same base square footages, or same base rates per square foot. This one was built in 2012 instead of 2014, and this one's only 5,440 square feet. The other one was almost 6,000, but we did exactly, everything the same, except we took out the value of that parcel that he just mentioned right above it. So we did not dispute that value, so we took that out of the total value that we came up with, and that's the only difference in our approach. And so our requested value for this one is $2,285,000 for this one. And that would be only for partial ending in 036, or partial beginning in 7, ending in 036.
So your number's $2,285,000.
$2,285,000.
Okay, and then I see on page, for the board, page 15, I think, is their
They
method.
came up with that.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Okay, let me see if members of the board have any questions. Mr. O'Keefe, do you have any questions for Mr. Cundiff?
Not right yet, but I'll come back.
Okay. Mr. Benson?
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ashcraft?
No, sir.
I'm good.
You good, Mr. O'Keefe? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cundiff. and
All right.
We'll hear from,
Thank you, Board.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
we'll hear from the county now.
Okay, this is pretty much a carbon copy of the last. Where we're finding our disagreement is the quality, where we think the difference, the thing that separates this from a good is you look at the curvature of the canopies and you look at the angles of the walls. You look at the different heights that are involved on some of the areas. And if you zoom out just a little bit, there's another convenience store. That's a Sam's Mart. That would be good. Maybe slightly better, but that, as far as convenience stores goes, because a convenience store generally, what you most of the time see is just basically a rectangle. So we feel like, from our standpoint, that it should be excellent, and that's why we haven't moved on the value. Is that's the primary, we're going to have subtle differences in multiple things, but it's pretty much the same as the last appeal and what we're looking at.
Joe, if I may, aren't all the QTs designed the same?
Yes,
They're
it's-
individually designed.
Yeah, this one was built in 2011.
I believe that's the
This is-
description of
Mhm.
excellent is individually designed, highly ornamental. I believe
Yeah.
that fits that description.
That's the county stance, that
Okay.
it is indeed excellent.
All right, let me see if the board has any questions. Mr. O'Keefe?
No questions for the county.
Okay. Mr. Benson?
Were there other things that you all looked at comparable to that? Did you just concentrate, was the physical quality that good, that excellent, you didn't need to really look at it?
Look at what, other convenience stores, how we have, yeah, we review all of these. I did a full QA of all the convenience stores in the county about 7 or 8 years ago. And we ran classifications, we laid them all out, pictures, and said, okay, all of these Exxon stations are going to be at this grade. All the QTs will be at this grade. All the mom and pops are going to be at a different grade. So yes, they, comparatively speaking, we also have, we have other convenience stores. We have Circle K that has some excellent properties in the county as well. One in Marvin and one at the corner of Potter and Chestnut they're also classified as excellent as well. So it's not just QT. We have other brands, other companies that operate convenience markets like this that would be considered the same. So it's equitable.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Ashcraft?
Joe, what about land values? The different locations, you said this one that we're dealing with right now, is that in Indian Trail?
Indian Trail, yeah, there would be different land values on these. They weren't disputing, they pretty much agreed with our land values. It wasn't a item, so we didn't really, we, ran the sales when we did the sales up in this area, and we ran sales down at the QT down Monroe, and that's how we developed the land values. I don't think that was a big
Issue.
item of contention. It was
Okay.
more about the cost of the buildings, I think is what our main, that's what our main.
Okay. I don't have
Yeah,
any questions.
kind of mainly the grade is what it comes down to, I think.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the main driver, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, excuse me. Mr. O'Keefe's asking what the grade, if he could run through the different grades.
Well, we have, it's excellent, you got excellent, you got good, very good, average, fair, low. It's-
7 or 8.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of,
With verbiage on each one.
yes, and there's a description on each one.
Yeah. But a little bit of, I think, it's judgment.
Yeah,
You got to
I
grade,
think
but it's
Marshall and
judgment
Swift
too.
doesn't have a very good, we try and interpolate, we have a interpolation ability
Right.
to do that between good and excellent. We
Yeah,
have
you
a very good,
You have stuff to go by, yeah.
yeah, we have those, some of those ratings built in, but.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Okay. Any additional questions for the county? Thank you, Joe. Mr. Cundiff, any additional comments on this particular property from you?
Just a quick comment. As Joe mentioned, it's just a difference in the grade.
Right.
We think it's good, they think it's excellent. Those 7 or 8 layers, I don't think this is the top of the top.
Yeah.
I think Buc-ee's would be the top of the top, or a much larger, newer gas stations. These ones were built in 2011, 2014. They're not, old, but they're not brand new, and they're improving their processes, which, with their plans. And those brand new ones, I think, like the new one that's being built, would be considered excellent.
Okay.
But this one, I think, would be very good,
Okay.
or good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Okay.
Board.
All righty, move to the, Madam Clerk.
All right, the next hearing will be hearing 10. This is for taxpayer Ronald Howell and Barbara Lee. This is for an untimely use value appeal. This is for property key number 02164014.
And good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Howell, I presume?
I'm Josh Howell. I'm the son. My dad's Ronald Howell.
Okay,
I'm Ronald Jr., pretty much. I'm the
All right.
son, and this is my mother.
okay. Good
Sharon
I'm
morning.
Howell.
Sharon Howell. My
Okay.
mother is Barbara.
Okay.
But we
All
own the farm together.
right. Okay. And I'll let you go ahead. I'm trying to think, do we need any information as far as the property on this? I don't think we do.
It's just a timing.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead if you would.
Yeah, well, what happened is we didn't realize, we bought the farm in '96. We bought it through Carolina, or got our loan through Carolina Farm Credit in '96 when we bought the farm. We were under the assumption that once you were in a farm setup, that you didn't have to reapply every year for the farm. So when we paid off the farm in 2007, we didn't know that we had to apply to get the tax, to be under the farm tax, in other words. And so we had no idea, and then we found out this year. I was talking to some other farmers, and I was telling them about what I was paying in taxes, and they're like, man, that sounds kind of high. What in the world? We're paying less than that. And so we got to looking into it and investigating and found out, oh, God, we've been paying high dollar taxes on farmland. And like I said, a lot of my profit went to go to taxes, to pay the taxes at the end of the year. And I was wondering how in the world's everybody farming and I can't
Right.
make any money. All my money goes to everybody.
Yeah.
Between the southern states and everybody gets their share, and at the end, I got a little stack of pennies left over.
So you came
So-
out of the farm use program in 2007 and didn't,
Well, we didn't know that. We
Right,
thought
but
that
you
we
came out of
yes,
it.
yes.
We didn't know that it even existed till this
Right.
year.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we've been paying full taxes since 2007 under the farm. And
Right.
so we sent it in, but we ended up being I think it was a day late.
1 day late.
okay,
On sending it in, so that's where we're coming from, is we've been paying the taxes this whole time wrong, but we
Okay.
didn't know. Now, I'm not saying that's an excuse. Ignorance is never an excuse. But that's where we stand at right now. It's pretty
Understood.
much, we didn't know that we had to apply for it, and so we've been paying since 2007, not knowing.
Right.
And like I said, this whole time, we've had cows on the property. We had a little handful of goats, but our main operation is cows.
Okay.
When we bought the farm, it's a chicken farm. We got 3 chicken houses on it. Now, it's no longer in operation. Once we were paid for, they said, well, you can go back in debt and we can keep you growing. We said, oh, no, we're done with debt. Debt's over
I
with.
understand.
We'll stick with our cows and keep what little bit of money we got and keep going. And so, in other words, in 2007, when that ended and escrow quit paying the taxes and all that and went to us, we didn't know that we had to apply every year for that. And so we haven't been applying or anything. And then, like I said, we found out the beginning of this year or the end of last year, and like I said, we sent it in, and I think we were a day late
Day
on
late.
getting it sent
let me
in.
see if members of the board have questions. Mr. Ashcraft?
So you had a loan on it, and escrow was paying the property taxes, and you didn't know that?
That's what I'm assuming, because they took care of the tax,
That's why you didn't worry about paying for property taxes.
Yeah, in other words, that come
Now
about
that you
our,
closed the loan, you now realize that your property taxes, and you get a bill to see what it is. Got it.
yeah. In other words, once the loan, they paid it when the loan was there. Once we took it over, we didn't know we had to apply. We just assumed that we were already set up. You know, once you said, I figure we were set as a farm unless we'd done something different, you know, and went and said, oh, we're building more houses or we're turning it into a development or something else. I figured it stayed under the farm program. I had no idea that I had to keep reapplying. We never knew that. And so, like I said, ignorance ain't the answer, but that's pretty much where I stand. I was ignorant to it, so I have no excuse. So I don't.
All right,
And you missed the deadline by 1 day or 2 days?
One
One
day.
day.
All right, I don't have any questions.
Mr. Benson?
And you say you found out that you had to start paying when?
Well, 2007 is when our loan when we were completely paid off in 2007. That's when the farm was paid for, and we took over everything. You know, there was no payments on anything. We were completely paid off, besides like equipment, little tractors and stuff like that. But as far as the land was paid off in 2007, and so once in other words, 2008, that was on us to apply for the farm program. We didn't know that, and so we never applied for it. And so all these years, we just paid it, and I thought, man, we can't,
Yeah.
I can't sell enough cows to make enough money to keep everything afloat between all the other fuel cost and all the cost and expenses of farming are so expensive. We didn't realize that I was paying over on taxes until, like I said, end of last year, I was talking to somebody, and everybody was talking about what we were paying and the value of everything, just like everything else around here is going up. And I understand that. But at the same time, I've been paying high dollar taxes
For a long time.
for a long
Yeah.
time. And so
Okay.
I come up a day short, and that kind of messed me up.
Okay.
So,
Mr. O'Keefe, any questions? All right, if you don't mind, let us hear from the county, then
Okay,
I'll
that's fine.
circle back to you with any final comments you may have.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the application deadline is January 31st. Or if there's an extension, that's typically for personal property, or 30 days within a change of valuation notice. Obviously, this year, we sent those out because of the revaluation. That letter was sent out on, dated the February 28th of 2025. So like you said, he submitted the application to us on the 1st of April is what we have. So a day or two it was late, so obviously the county that's a hard date for us.
Right.
So we had to deny it because it was untimely, and that's why we're here.
Okay. Thank you. Let me see, any questions for the county? Mr. O'Keefe, Mr. Benson? Okay.
No, sir.
Mr. Ashcraft? We're good. Any additional comments? Mr. Howell?
Just please have mercy on me.
Well, I got you. Okay,
Forgive me for my tardiness.
there you go.
We appreciate it.
All right. With that, we'll move on to the next one.
Yes, sir. Hearing number 11. This is going to be for taxpayer Certeco North America, Inc. There is a parcel number of 09342114A and a property key for personal property, which is 658613. This is also for an untimely property tax exemption appeal.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Janet Grace. I am the tax accountant for Certeco North America.
Okay.
Certeco acquired Omnova Solutions in March 1st of 2023. All of the properties, and we have properties in Pennsylvania, Mississippi, all of the property was moved over to Certeco through the legally way. Even the city of Monroe was. But in the process, somehow, the personal property was dropped. And I found this out in late January, early February, when I was looking for the bill. There was no bill, so I called, and that's when I found out, oh, your account has been closed. So I have been working very diligently to get the filing, which I did file one time, and under the old listing number. So I have redone that, and I submitted it to Jonathan Marshall, and he told me he has received it. I did send it to him last week. As a result, we've lost our exemption for the personal property, not the real estate. There was not an exemption for the real estate, just the property. And I really don't know much about that, so I brought two of my coworkers who work at the plant who can, if you have any questions, they can answer specifics on the equipment.
Okay. Yeah, and I think what we may want to do, let me see if the board has any questions, and you're welcome to have them come up and answer any of the questions we may have, and then we'll still circle back to you after we hear from the county. So
Okay.
we'll be glad to hear from you or the people that you brought with you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so
Thank
if you would stand, Mr. O'Keefe, Mr. Benson.
Anything to benefit from what they may have to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd just like to hear if they have something beneficial to add so we can have a greater picture.
Yeah, and it may clarify it a little bit when we hear from the county, and then we can hear from them too. Mr. Ashcraft?
Let's hear from the county.
Okay. Let us hear from the county, then I'm going to come back to you for
Okay.
any additional comments, okay?
Okay.
Same scenario here, the application is due January 31st, or if you're given an extension, the extension date. My understanding is there was not an extension requested, so the due date for this application would have been January 31st of 2025. We received it on March 17th of 2025, so we denied it for being untimely.
Okay. And kind of how I understand it from her, she was the one, she found the problem, correct? I mean,
I don't know, I just work with the exemptions.
Right.
I'm not sure how the personal property was found or anything like that.
right, okay. But it sounded like through her due diligence, you know, she found the problem.
I would think so.
Yeah. Mr. Ashcraft, you?
I'm good.
Yeah. Mr. Benson? Mr. O'Keefe? I think we're good, okay. Is it Ms. Gray?
Yes.
Okay. Do you or your colleagues have any additional statements you want to make or any questions?
If there is anything we can add to help our case, yes.
I think we understand the scope of what happened here,
Okay.
okay? So I just wanted to make sure you didn't have any additional comments you would like to make.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that, Madam Clerk, I know tabs 1, 2, and 3,
Yes, sir. We're going to
And-
circle back to hearing number 1.
Right, okay.
So hearing number 1 is for Shirley Crosa. That is for parcel number 09140039. And I do not believe that she
Yeah,
is
so
here.
we're moving into the deliberation phase. Neither, to our knowledge, 1, 2, or 3 have not shown up yet. 'Cause
That is
we would be
correct.
glad to hear them if they have, okay? Okay.
Okay.
So, basically, hearing 1 is a no-show, so what's the pleasure of the board? You need to speak up y'all need to have your mics on there if you. Okay. So what's the pleasure of the board for tab 1?
We accept the county's recommendation?
Okay, so we have a
I second that.
motion and a second to, for the value to remain unchanged. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion's carried.
All right, hearing number 2 is for the same taxpayer, for Shirley Crosa. That parcel number is 09140038.
Make a motion, we accept the county's value.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in approval, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion's carried.
Okay. Hearing number 3 is for Lauren Rainey and Dustin Rainey, parcel number 09177170, and they are also not in attendance.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to uphold the county.
Okay, so I have a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion's carried for the value to remain as is.
All right, Mr. Chairman, the last thing we have is hearing number 12, which is staff recommendations that have been settled.
So what tab?
Oh, page
Number
6.
12.
It's on
12.
6 of 6.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to uphold the staff recommendations.
A second.
So I have a motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. And then that's going to take us back to
Number 4.
All
4.
right, so with that, then we need to have a motion and decision, starting with hearing number 4, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
All righty. I think this first parcel is the one that was off Miller Street that,
Yeah.
kind of in the middle of a residential area there and was, for all practical purposes, a lot, storage.
Mr. Chairman, after listening to the values and the fact that this is just pretty much land only, I make a motion we accept the county's value.
So I have a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So the motion's carried for the value to remain at $40,600.
All right, Mr. Chairman, that would bring us to hearing number 5 for the Campbell John Co., ending in parcel number 0922901-9A.
Mr. Chairman, on this one, since it's their office building, is that correct? Do you recall that?
That's the way I understand it. This is the one that's,
37 years
They're
old.
using,
right.
and the issue that we talked about briefly on the water situation wasn't in the floodplain. I
Right.
make a recommendation, we accept the county's value of $247,700, please.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The motion's carried for the value to remain at $247,700.
All right, that brings us to hearing number 6, same taxpayer, Campbell John M. Co., parcel number 09229019C.
Okay, and this is the one that had the 4 rental units in it, if I remember right. Okay. And I had made a note, because I think it's a little different here, but the taxpayer's opinion of value was around $491. The county's at $650, $800.
But, you know, they also stated that it's only gone up 21%
Right.
since 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just don't, I'm gonna have to go with the county on that. I think they've been very,
Right. Okay.
I make a motion, we accept.
So I
County
have,
value.
I have a motion, second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So the motion's carried for the value to remain at $650, $800.
All right, hearing number 7, Quick Trip Corporation, 09174012.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, it's that lot, and they own the one next to it, that county's value of $325,000.
Yep. Okay. So I have a motion for the value to remain at $325,000.
I second that,
Have a
Mr.
second.
Chairman.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So motion's carried for the value to remain at $325,000.
That brings us to hearing number 8 for Community Bank of Raymore et al., parcel number 09189019A.
Yeah. And I think from what I remember on this one and the next one, I mean, it gets into just a difference in grade.
Excellent versus good.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a user of both those,
Right. So you're familiar with them?
very.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've always felt pride going into those because, you know, they're super facilities.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was somewhat taken back from the petitioner indicating good because I wouldn't, I mean, I use these.
Yes.
I do too.
Yeah. I think part of it was just going back to maybe when it was originally built,
Yeah.
maybe the age of it, but they're very well maintained.
Very, very well maintained and highly used.
Yeah. And from what the county was explaining, it's not your rectangular
No, it's
lots,
not.
you know.
All
So,
right.
Okay.
So I make a motion, we accept the county's value on parcel 9A, I guess is the one hearing A, of $3,391,400 for the county.
Okay. So I have a motion for that value to remain the same at $3,391,400.
Second?
Second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, so motion's carried.
Okay, hearing number 9, also for Quick Trip Corporation, parcel number N70690036.
And that's, Mr. Chairman, that's the one that's in Indian Trail, and I know that one. I make a motion, we accept the county's value of $2,671,500.
Okay, so I have a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion's carried for the county's value to remain at $2,671,500. And now we move to the next one.
Number 10.
So the next 2 would be under the exemption and exclusion of appeals, so this one's a little different. So this is going to be for a taxpayer, Ronald Howell and Barbara Lee Howell et al., parcel number 02164014 for the late application.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept the untimely use and let them
Right.
apply for
I
that.
agree.
I highly second that, Mr.
Motion
Chairman.
second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Mercy.
Opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. I do have a question on that for the county, though. I mean, we're not to change anything. When he mentioned about that farm when the debt was retired, they're not keeping him in the farm program by having a mortgage like with Farm Credit. I mean, he was out of the farm program during that time as well, wasn't he? And just didn't know it because he was being escrowed. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
I just,
I realize that
yeah.
too.
Okay. Sorry to get off center there. Go ahead.
That's okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hearing
Yeah.
number
Oh, yeah.
11.
14 years,
was for Certeco North America, Inc., parcel number 09342114A, and property key number 658613, which was also for an untimely exemption received.
Okay. And to clarify, both of these are personal property.
No, sir, one of those is a parcel number for property, and one is for personal property.
Right, I'm sorry, I got you.
But the representative, Mrs. Grace, did indicate that the exemption was only on personal property.
Right.
I would have to have Travis confirm that.
All right, Travis.
Travis, and if I'm giving you the chance to speak, I'll also give them a chance to speak if they need to. Go ahead.
Yes, there was no exemption on this, on the real estate prior to them buying it. It was only on the personal property.
Right, okay.
So they're applying for the personal property, and
That's my understanding. She told me the same thing.
that's what she's saying.
Correct, Ms. Gray?
Yes.
That's right, okay, all right. So with that, board,
I'll make a motion, we accept the untimely application.
okay. So I have a motion to accept the untimely.
Second that, Mr. Chairman.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion's carried. Okay,
Good job. Mr.
all
Chairman.
righty. I think with that, okay, that
That concludes all of
completes
our
our
hearings for
agenda today.
Yes, sir, it
Okay.
does.
So,
When's our next meeting? Wednesday?
next meeting's Wednesday. In case you want to meet on Memorial
No,
Day.
sure.
Okay, all right, so
Works for me.
we're back Wednesday, okay. So with that, do I have a motion?
So move, Mr.
Have a
Chairman.
motion to adjourn? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We're done. Thank y'all very much. Okay.